Up to very large sections of our country as we near the end of our historic battle with the invisible enemy.
Which leader would you want to be? And would you want to be a leader at all of a nation in these times? That's the analysis later on here on Newsnight on Business.
Government runs to IMF asking for credit support in the fight against the coronavirus outbreak. And
Ghana Olympic Committee President Bendino Mensah insists cancellation of this year's Olympics was inevitable following the COVID-19 outbreak. Join me later in sports for details.
And what has COVID-19 got to do with Galamsey? The minority is calling for the head of Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng. We bring you more on why they want him prosecuted.
Dismissing him is not enough because he has caused a criminal case for people to take advantage of his actions to rob this nation of several millions.
You want to join us with your views and comments? Feel free to do so. Send me a WhatsApp 0244340437. My name is Evans Mensah.
Your success, our passion.
So how the thing end?
My God. So we video call like 2 minutes. Then now she say make I take over can meet them. But Charlie, as I hang up, we are Rexy, my data finish. Ooh. See, I roam I no get data back. So I said they come look for another phone.
Hey, my guy, hold up. You see why you for use Vodafone?
I be all be the same data.
Who tell you? Now with Vodafone, whether you get data or not, you go free use the Uber app with no data charges at all.
Hey, this one?
Oh yeah. Now Vodafone the Uber partner. So even if you get data where you use the Uber app, then they tell you anything. Where if you no get data safe, Charlie, you the free use the Uber app. Simple. No data matter bia. Where they be safe be say, as you they use the app, you the free get free ride. Where it come with some champion discount. You can now order your Uber ride at no data cost and stand a chance to enjoy free rides and amazing discounts. Switch to Vodafone today.
The future is exciting. Ready?
Hey, I say, mix the cement in correct proportional.
Hey, contractor.
Hey, Baganye, what's your soul?
Yeah, Malande. Sorry, I say. When you attend the year of return, Ankasa. Hey, contractor. A giant wasting year. Hey, what would you me feel it too much?
Who project here? Me friend a gas them from top to down. If you are a gas them.
Hey, yes, solid pa.
Hey, you see gas them, man. If for soup in our do. On your quality, no question. Extra gas them cement biara. I will cook a crab bee. Over 5,000 plus communities. And a gas them. I donations. SCC schools, I built the clinic. Now, when the packaging now, what's Shadara and environmentally friendly?
Never compromise on quality. Choose the value Gassem offers you always. Gassem, the nation builder.
You're so live here on Joy997 FM. This is Newsnight, and tonight one more person has died from the coronavirus pandemic locally, bringing Ghana's fatality to 3. Also, 13 more people under mandatory quarantine have tested positive, and our case count now stands at a total of 68, according to the Ghana Health Service. A sudden spike in the cases is a result of the mandatory quarantine and compulsory testing for all travelers entering Ghana. 30 of the 68 cases have been reported in the general population, with the remaining 38 cases among persons currently under mandatory quarantine. Head of Joy News Health Vest, Fred Smith, joins us on the line for more on this latest count. Fred, earlier in today, you broke the news about this third case. Subsequently, the Ghana Health Service confirmed it and updated its online portal. but you are learning more about the circumstances of this latest fatality. What more do we know?
Well, this person we know is a woman. The husband also contracted the coronavirus infection, and the husband, we understand, is in hospital and is doing well, even though he's positive, contrary to claims on social media and other networks that he is dead or in intensive care receiving treatment. He is doing very well. Someone from the UK, we know, delivered a parcel to them, and now that is what officials are looking at, whether it is the parcel or the person who delivered. And our information is that this person who brought the parcel came from the United Kingdom. The parcel also came from the United Kingdom. And so the experts will be looking into who or what the infection came from to these two. The WHO has already said that it is safe to do online transactions, receive parcels, because the virus cannot survive over long periods of time through the air and all handling of parcels. So it becomes very important or very interesting for us to know how the transmission was done to these persons.
I mean, this will be so key to health experts who've been looking into this. And I'm pretty sure, Fred, we know in any of these cases, the first thing that the health authorities activate is contact tracing. If indeed they confirm that he may have contracted the disease and died as a result of a parcel this particular patient may have touched and received. I'm sure that is happening already in terms of tracing who else may have been in contact with this parcel.
Well, the contact tracing, I believe, has already started, because I've received lots of calls from some officials asking me for more information since the news broke about who would have been involved, where they would be. I've given them the information I can give, but it remains for them to follow up and get whoever it is.
Fred, thank you very much. Now, let's return to that mantra that the WHO advised all countries across the globe: test, test, test. And we've seen, even in South Korea, where they haven't introduced any draconian measures such as a lockdown, the testing that they're doing, an estimated 300,000 tests a day, seem to be bearing some real positive fruits, as South Korea has become the gold standard for how effectively to test and push back against the coronavirus. At the Kotoka International Airport today, the Health Minister, Kweku Agyeman-Manu, took delivery of a batch of supplies donated by the Jack Ma Foundation. The supplies, which include masks, testing kits, and protective suits, were handed over to the minister by the Ethiopian ambassador to Ghana.
Our president started talking to Jack Ma about 2 weeks ago. We had indications that Jack Ma was preparing to come to support not only Ghana, but Africa. Our president is a very good friend of Jack Ma. We were expecting these items to arrive on the 27th. But through the efforts of the Prime Minister for Ethiopia and Ethiopia Airlines, they've managed to ship in these items even earlier than the time we were expecting them. So we got short notice last night to come and to receive these items on behalf of the President and the people of this country. We are very grateful to Jack Ma Foundation, to the Chinese Embassy in Ghana, Ethiopia Airlines as well. And we have started receiving items that we ourselves have procured. There are some that we have ordered that to be delivered by close to the week. We expect that apart from these items that we are taking, we will take into inventory close about 30,000 protective equipment, several quantities of masks, sanitizers. Now we have actually registered close to about 18 Ghanaian companies that are producing sanitizers in our country. So we are no more procuring sanitizers from export windows.
And tonight we are also getting a pledge from China, where of course we all know this pandemic emanated and started. Pledges to support Africa. Listen to the Chinese ambassador to Ghana, Shin Ting-wan.
Today I'm very pleased that to see the Chinese businessman Jack Ma donate some medical supplies to the Ghanaian government. Actually, his company Alibaba will donate to each and every 54 African countries. Each country will have 100,000 masks, 20,000 testing kits, and 1,000 medical used protective suits, and 1,000 face shields for each African country. Today we are very happy that the goods have already arrived. Actually, the Chinese government is very much concerned about the situation here in Ghana concerning the spread of the coronavirus. Actually, right now our government have already provided medical supplies to more than 100 countries. Especially right now, Europe is hit very hard right now here at present. So right now we already send a huge amount of medical supplies and also some medical teams to some Italy, some other European countries. But right now our focusing our emphasis right now reverting to Africa. So our government is also trying to provide some other donations and medical supplies. They're coming in the future.
And that is the Chinese ambassador to Ghana there, of course, making the indication there that China is ready to assist Africa. Countries like Ghana may benefit as well. I want to right now bring in Dr. Michael Owusu. He's a research scientist, Department of Medical Diagnostics, KNUST, also researcher at the Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research, KCCR. Dr. Owusu, thank you for your time again here on Newsnight. I want to start with you on this very curious case of the third fatality that we've just heard of, and the possibility that the health officials are looking into and investigating that his contact may have been a parcel that he received. And if that is true, a parcel that had been posted to him, I think from Canada, if I'm not mistaken, if that is true, what does that indicate about this virus?
Well, good evening to your listeners. So it's quite difficult to tell exactly the source of this. And for me, you cannot really tell, although we know that the virus can survive for 3 hours up to about 8 hours, especially on copper, on paper, on hard surfaces. It's quite unlikely that this will generate aerosols enough for somebody to contract it through a package. Ideally, if you have the package, it will make sense to take swabs from this package and test it in the lab to know whether the virus particles are still on the surface for you to be able to make a good decision. But then it could also be possible that he could have contracted it from the environment. So I have personally been saying that I have a strong belief that there are people who may be transmitting this virus in our communities. Maybe the person might not have known, but perhaps somebody walking by him or somebody coughing by him around his household could have contracted it from there. So, the dynamism could be both ways. It's unlikely to me if it's a parcel. I think perhaps he could have got it from the community. I think so.
Okay, so that is an interesting thing, and so scientists will be looking into. But let's move on to what we saw today. I know the WHO advises test. Now we have some more test kits in. We're expecting more, obviously. What should be the approach now once we have enough? And can we ever have enough? How much is enough is another question, I guess.
Yeah, so I think this is good news for us as a country. I'm quite excited to hear that we have close to 20,000 kits. So this goes back to what we have been advocating for: mass testing and containment, which is what the Koreans did, which is the gold standard for us. So for the data out there as we speak is there are 68 cases, 38 from mandatory quarantine, which for me is not much of a problem. But we have 30 of them which is from the community. It's not clear from the 30 how many are imported cases and how many are from the community. Now, from the community, where are they coming from? And if you are doing contact tracing, where are they coming from? If we know the GIS coordinates of all these contacts that are being traced, if we can map out communities where these are coming from, then the next is for us to do aggressive community testing, which is what will help us. You can map out some communities, you can close that part, move in and test it. So what the Koreans did was that they tested everybody whether you have symptoms or not. And the virus can remain in somebody and take some time for the symptoms to show. It's been documented that 25% of people have pre-symptomatic presence of the virus. So they look for these people, and then those who tested positive, they isolated them from the community and placed them at a place until they recovered or until the virus became negative in them. So if somebody has the disease, even after recovery, you still have to do 2 tests within 24 hours to know that the person is negative for the virus or before you can release the person to the community. So I think with these many tests coming up, it gives us an option for us to begin to map out sections in the community where we have recorded community spread and begin to do an aggressive testing. If you follow the US case, for instance, they classify their cases into 3. So they have imported cases, they have cases among close contacts of known cases, and then they have community-acquired cases where the source of the infection is unknown. And they have been able to map out all those community cases, and then they are moving closely with targeted interventions. This, for me, is the way to go, because in a country with limited resources, you wouldn't want to move in with a huge, a lockdown of the entire city. You can move in based on strategic data and based on evidence of information, and then you can administer your intervention. I think the data that we have collected until now should give us information as to what to do. And for me, the best to do is to do testing at targeted sites. Would you be able to get us those who are positive? Then we can deal with them.
You talk about data and how it may influence or inform the decision to lock down. Tonight, a very influential association, the Ghana Medical Association, has issued a formal statement calling for, quote, a nationwide lockdown. It appears you disagree with that position.
Yes, Evans, I don't agree. Some level of lockdown is needed, but I'm not going for total lockdown. What I keep insisting and saying is that we have collected a lot of data from the contact tracing. We have information about people who have the disease and have told us that they don't know where they got it from. We have information about where these all people have been. I believe with this information, we can map these places out. We know we can liaise with the telecos and get the GIS coordinates of all these people. Then you can target sites within Accra or target sites within Kumasi. You can lock those sites out and do aggressive testing. For me,
I just wonder, for a country...
Lockdown, what will be your measure of success if you lock the country down? How will you know you are improving or not? People lock countries down and then they measure the data, they test and they see that the data is going down. This is the measure of success. If you close the country down and you don't have variables to measure the success of your close down, then you cannot predict when to close down and how long to close down and what will be the end result of this. Is it going to be success? Perhaps the time you open up will be the time that people will begin to manifest the symptoms. So
you talked about variables. What variables will indicate a successful lockdown, for instance? So
for me, the first is that you must know the exact burden of the disease at the community level. It is the community cases that sparks outbreak. So once you understand the burden of the case, you can lock it down. And once lockdown is ongoing, you still test. You still do mass testing. Then you expect that the cases that report to your hospitals or the number of tests will tell you the prevalence change after lockdown or within lockdown and before lockdown is what will tell you that you have been successful. So for countries that have locked down, they have seen that lockdown has resulted in a decline of cases before the lockdown. And for me, this is a measure of success when you implement this. Yes, movement contributes a lot to transmission of infection. But for us, we are under-resourced. If we lock down the whole system, then it will be difficult to deal with the close to 60% of people in the informal sector. But then based on data, if you are able to target places and sections and lock these places up, you can do all the testing you can. You can quarantine them for a certain period, maybe 21 days, do retesting to ensure that they are negative. And then you can move on to other places. If you do a test before and then a test after, based on this difference, you can now know that you are doing very well. I think that is the approach that we have to do. And based on the data we have.
I mean, but very finally, if the data is available, and I'm assuming that it is, because your institution, you've been doing the testing, should we moving to do that partial lockdown you are proposing now, and which areas will be affected?
Well, David, so our institution, we don't have the complete data of all that is going on. I believe the Public Health Division have data of all the contact tracing. They have the GIS coordinates of all the people they are tracing. I believe they know the hotspots where all these people are coming from, and they have so much data available for them to be able to initiate this.
The health minister says Kumasi, Accra, Tema, epicenters. Should we lock down these two cities?
So I have a difficulty in understanding what an epicenter is. An epicenter should be based on how many positive cases you are finding in particular hotspots. So Kumasi is very large. to say the entire community is an epicenter, the whole Kumasi, is difficult for me to understand. I believe if you stratify the data you have at the levels of the community, you can say that certain spots are epicenters.
Can I ask a question about that? Though? Because I've heard what is happening in New York, for example. They're saying the entire New York is the epicenter. I mean, so why can't we say that about Kumasi?
They started recording quite significant number of cases. They had enough data from all the places that they have collected. I mean, all the different places and all the different sections. It was based on this data that they made this declaration. So my difficulty is that I've scanned through the website of the Ghana Health Service, and it's difficult to tell, for instance, the contact, how all the cases we have found, the 30 cases within the community, how many contacts of each one do we have, and where are they coming from? Where exactly are we recording this? If we say that 1,000 of them are from Kumasi, then it's quite scary, and for me, and for which it will be evidential enough to move in and then at least offer an intervention. But if you have numbers that is difficult to tell, and you can't read, and you cannot know what is happening, then going for such decisions, which is quite expensive for me, will be difficult to go by. The cheaper option is to go with selected lockdown based on the evidence of data. And once we do that and we do testing of this size, we can move on and then do something else.
I'm grateful that you joined me. Dr. Michael Owusu is a research scientist, Department of Medical Diagnosis, KNUSC researcher at the Kumasi Center for Collaborative Medicine. As we talk about lockdown, whether to lock down or not, and what form of lockdown is okay for Ghana, just note that BBC is reporting that a quarter of the world's population is currently under lockdown. About a quarter of the world's 7.8 billion people are living currently under restrictions to curb coronavirus. And in India, 1.3 billion people, the entire nation, is on lockdown. Let's stay with this subject a while longer, because the Ghana Medical Association says many of its members are currently in quarantine across the country following fears of exposure to the virus. The association is now calling for a dedicated facility to house the affected frontline health workers. Listen to the Greater Accra president, or secretary rather, of the association, Dr. Winfred Barr, speaking to me on PM Express last night.
There are some of the health workers who don't even know how to don the PPE, because we are not used to it. We didn't have such things around. And so today like this, we did training for some of the health workers. And people were more confident now to face it. So it's like, okay, if I can wear it, then I'll be able to face it better. So it increases people's confidence. Knowledge is power. So we need to do more training on how to wear the PPE, how to do all of that.
PPE once worn cannot be reused.
Yes, but now you know, because of the situation, we have to reuse some of them.
But what that means is that it has to be properly disinfected once you remove it.
Exactly.
There's a whole protocol for removing the PPE.
For removing the PPE. There's a whole protocol.
Are doctors equipped to do that?
Exactly. So that's the training that has to go on. And then when healthcare workers are on the front line, they get exposed. They have to be isolated or quarantined. Now, when that happens, we usually have a few people who want to be in their homes. That is if you live alone. If you have a family, it's either they move out.
For health workers?
Yes, for health workers. So what we are...
Has that been the case when health workers have been quarantined?
Yes. Most of those who have come in contact with the cases are confined and everywhere. What we do is that once you come into contact with somebody who tests positive, then you because of the contact, you have to be quarantined.
How many health workers are in quarantine, or doctors are in quarantine now?
I can't tell you the number, but I can tell you there are doctors, nurses, lab people, and everybody in quarantine now. Some of them are doing something in their homes, some of them at the centers. But the thing is, we want government to get a place for us, because not everybody will get a single room to be in.
So that is the Greater Accra Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association there, of course, talking about a very important subject of keeping our frontline health workers safe. We'll try and get some clarity from the health authorities on the concerns that he's expressed there. But to another worrying development on this battle to win the war against the coronavirus, the Tourism Minister, Barbara Otinjesi, says the impact assessment of the coronavirus pandemic by the Ghana Tourism Authority has revealed the hospitality industry is likely to lose $130 million in the formal sector and $41 million in the informal sector, spanning a period of 5 months Now, speaking at a meeting which brought together members of the Ghana Hotels Association, Tour Operators Association of Ghana, Tour Guides, Car Rentals Association, and more, she assured them that her outfit will support them during these difficult times of COVID-19. Maxwell Agbagba has this report.
I'm at the Plush Kempinski Hotel. The lobby looks empty with no activity, not even guests. The situation here at the Kempinski Hotel mirrors what is happening across the length and breadth of the country and even globally as the COVID-19 continue to wreak havoc and many people indoors with airport doors shut. The hospitality industry is bearing the brunt. Well, at the stakeholders meeting today, the president of the Ghana Hotels Association, Dr. Edward Akanyemeke, called for a stimulus package for players in the hospitality industry who are hit by this global pandemic.
As we speak now, the hotels are doing averagely about 10%, 15% occupancy, and that is indeed a big blow to the industry. So if you look at all these cancellations that have gone on, it runs into millions of dollars. Coming to today's meeting, I was hoping to hear what government has planned for us in terms of the stimulus package. We are asking for suspensions of some of the taxes that we pay and some of the license fees that we pay. We are asking for some discount on even the utility bills. We are asking for some support to pay the salaries of our staff, because we will have no choice but to lay off a lot of the staff. If not this month, most of them go to this month. So that is the area of support that we wanted the government to come in. And I was hoping to hear it today. Unfortunately, I think that engagement has not been completed.
One thing we found at many of the hotels that we visited are hand sanitizers, and they are here on all the tables at the Kempinski Hotel. President of the Tour Operators Association of Ghana and CEO of Pacific Tours, Kofi Aisen, says majority of Ghana's tourist sites have been closed as a result of the COVID-19.
Kakum National Park is shut. The castles and forts are no longer working. A lot of the tourist attractions, as you've just mentioned, are also not working. The resorts are not working. And as you already know, the borders are closed. So typically we are not getting inbound tours. What we are proposing to government is to give us some form of waiver. Others have asked for stimulus package.
So that is the story with the tourism. I want to bring in now the CEO of the Ghana Tourism Authority, Mr. Kwesi Agyemang. Mr. Agyemang, thank you for your time here on Newsnight.
Thank you for having me.
Tough times for the industry you superintend and supervise. We've heard many of them have put forward many proposals, tax cuts, rebates, so they can. What is government considering when it comes to these issues that they put before you today?
Thank you. I believe the issues were not just put in front of us today. Since the 11th, when we had our first engagement with operators, then we were looking at precautionary measures for COVID-19, how we could, as an industry, prevent the spread. Fast forward 2 weeks later, we started seeing some spread, community spread, and also some imports into the country. And so the conversation has changed a bit from just prevention to how can we mitigate the difficulties that operators are facing. And so since last we're meeting different associations. I mean, the industry has about 25 different associations: car rentals, tour operators, hotels association, informal caterers. We've been meeting them and engaging on how much of an impact this has had. We all know the impact is there, but you also want to go into a conversation with some data, with some numbers. And so we've been engaging them. We've been asking for information, and as and when we've gathered it up, we've passed it on. Today's conversation with our minister was to further in that process and also understand from them how some of the mitigating circumstances can be worked out. We've heard them, we've compiled the data, we're working with it, and I believe very shortly we will be able to come out with what the result is. But as we said and as we continue to say these are still early days. I mean, when we met last week, we're looking at probably a 2-month layoff, if I should put it that way. We thought maybe by the end of May things would have normalized and everybody would get on with their lives. But looking at the impact global and how things are going, it may take us probably somewhere into July. And so the months that people are going to lose revenue is extended, potential for people being laid off. Everything is in a mess, if I should put it that way. And so we are working with the data, we are working with the industry. We haven't left them behind along the way. Every step of the way, they've been engaged. And so that is what we did today. I believe at the right time, we'll come out with what is on the table for them.
Okay, in the interim, have they assured that people won't lose their jobs, I guess, in the interim? Is there a clear sense of what is going to happen with jobs there?
No, I mean, that's what I talk about data. I mean, for example, for the formal sector, we already have manpower data. We know about 275,000 people are in the industry. But there are the informal sector where top bars, little kiosks in the corners where we don't have that data yet. And so what we managed to do is to come to some understanding that for us to be able to come up with any remedial measures, especially those in the informal sector, we'll need to get some information from them. Because if somebody is losing, let's say 100 million, and you go and say, I'm offering 5,000, it doesn't do anything to them. And so we don't want to be prescribing solutions when we haven't concluded that exercise. I believe in the next week or so, like the minister promised, we'll to them with what we believe is or will be some measures to mitigate circumstances for them.
Mr. Kwesi Adjumah, I'm grateful that you could join me. He is the CEO of the Ghana Tourism Authority. Still listening to News 9 here on Joy 99.7 FM. Still ahead. I'm sure you know today is the National Day of Prayers, of course, as part of the efforts to deal with the coronavirus pandemic as it relates to us here in Ghana.
Pray to Satamaha. May the pandemic be lifted away in the name of Jesus Christ.
We'll tell you how the nation has been observing this day of national prayers. Let's do business now, and Charles Aite is here with the latest. Hello, Charles.
Hi, Evan. So coming up in business, Ghana runs to the International Monetary Fund asking for credit support in the fight against the coronavirus. We have a report ahead. Also, Vice President charges commercial banks to provide QR code for mobile money merchants free of charge to increase digital transactions. We'll tell you why. Business on News 9 is brought to you by MTN. Welcome to a new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one stop shop for all office essential. First National Bank, we are the bank that understands your business. First National Bank, how can we help you?
My family loves visiting me. Because I've got the super reliable and super fast 4G plus MTN Turbonet.
Everything is downloading so
and
fast.
with this super fast MTN Turbonet, it's non-stop fun and entertainment for the whole family at my house.
Wow, I finally
Grandma, this is so amazing. Connect your home and entertain your family at the speed of yellow. Get an MTN Turbonet today and connected to the things that matter most. Only on Ghana's fastest network. Dial *5057# to purchase an internet bundle today. We day for you everywhere you go.
Mr. Barr has big dreams for his business, Barr & Co. Limited, and his family, making them a reality man to long drives and queues. He's lost precious time struggling to pay his suppliers in China, Turkey, India, and other parts of the world. With the First National Bank global payment via our online banking enterprise, he now pays for all that in the convenience of his home or office, giving him time to focus on family and growing his business. Use our online banking enterprise to access Forex when you need it. It takes a bank that does more to help your family. So who's helping yours? First National Bank. How can we help you?
We give you nothing but the best. We stay above the rest. More quality, more affordability. Kingdom Books.
Yes, with our 30 days credit facility with no interest charge, free delivery services, and our free consultation on setting up your office, Kingdom Books and Stationery is unmatched in our delivery of quality and affordable office essentials, equipment, and furniture.
Experience world-class customer service in all our branches in Accra, Tema, Kumasi, Cape Coast, and Takoradi.
Call us on 0302-764-101
or visit our website at www.kingdomgh.com.
Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all office essentials and stationery. Terms and conditions apply.
We know it's important to create a productive and supportive working environment by investing in your employees' health. With a leading international track record, Apex Health Insurance is regulated and licensed by the National Health Insurance Authority to provide medical insurance services to institutional clients, families, and individuals. Apex Student Package and International Medical Solutions are all here to cushion you. Visit Apex Health Insurance Office at Zion House, Boundary Road, Shiashi, or call
0501-683-914
or 0232-000-015. In Kumasi, we are located opposite Prempeh College, Sofo Line, and in Takrady, Apex Health, your preferred health insurer.
Joy 99.7 FM.
And welcome to Business on Newsnight. Now, Ghana continues to witness an increase in confirmed cases of the coronavirus, and the adverse impact on the economy is increasingly becoming a stark reality. This has led government to turn to the International Monetary Fund, IMF, for some credit support. Philip Namfuri explores the impact of this move in this report.
The coronavirus has spread its tentacles to arguably the entire globe, leaving a trail of fear, panic, and economic malaise. Economic powers such as the US, China, France, and Germany are all reeling from the negative effects of this global pandemic. The African continent has not been spared at all with its fair share of cases and the corresponding economic impact. Ghana, at the moment, has recorded a total of 53 cases, and the economy is already feeling the pinch, and this has prompted government to seek assistance from the International Monetary Fund, the IMF. In a press release on its website, the IMF Director of African Department, Abebe Selassie, said, quote, last week, the IMF received requests for a disbursement under the Rapid Credit Facility to help the country address the economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, stating that the IMF was working hard to evaluate the authorities' request and bring it forward to Executive Board consideration as soon as possible. The Rapid Credit Facility is one of the many lending instruments or facilities of the IMF, which provides support to low-income countries facing balance of payment problems in times of shock and natural disasters. Financing under this arrangement carries a zero interest rate and has a grace period of 5.5 years and a final maturity of 10 years. It is, however, unclear how much Ghana will be able to access, how the funds will be used, and where they will be deployed. But one thing is clear, we need this support to go through these challenging times.
Away from that, the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has charged the Ghana Interbank Payment and Settlement Systems, GIPS, as well as commercial banks to provide the universal QR code to mobile money merchants with little or no cost. This, he believes, will enhance the use of the infrastructure to transact more businesses, as well as help the country reduce the spread of the deadly coronavirus through the use of physical cash. According to him, the new universal payment systems is one of the safest forms of transacting business. Dr. Bawumia made the appeal when he launched the Proxy Pay and Universal QR Code payment system developed by GIPS.
To get a QR code from these providers. I expect that the QR codes will be provided at very little or hopefully at no cost at all to the merchants. I think it's a good strategy for you to just give them the QR codes and then you can get the business from the merchants who are using the facility. So I don't expect very high cost of acquiring the QR codes to be placed on merchants. The issue of security of payments is most critical in building confidence in the payment system. Credit and debit cards have suffered with this. However, mobile payments like the QR codes rank as some of the most secure of all currently available payment options.
Vice President Dr. Bawumia, and that's it for Business on Newsnight.
Thank you very much, Charles. You're still listening to Newsnight. It's on Joy 99.7 FM. Share with me your thoughts. I'll share a bit of a few of that with the rest of the world shortly. Now, talking about the rest of the world, the confirmed cases of coronavirus globally now stand at 400,000. Now, that's according to statistics from the Johns Hopkins University. Almost 17,000 people have now died, while more than 100,000 have recovered. That's the good news. While the virus keeps spreading at a fast pace, we know this, world leaders have been taking various measures to slow down the spread of the virus. Countries announcing drastic draconian measures, including school closures and lockdowns, a famous word now. Italy, the epicenter of the coronavirus in Europe, in fact, arguably in the world, is in total lockdown. India has followed suit with Prime Minister Modi imposing a nationwide lockdown on 1.3 billion people. Now, here in Africa, Sierra Leone and other countries announced state of emergency. Now, Julius Maada Bio is a Sierra Leone president.
Having regard to the threat that the coronavirus disease poses to the lives of the people of Sierra Leone and the economy of Sierra Leone, and the need to take effective measures to prevent, protect, and curtail the spread of the disease throughout Sierra Leone, do hereby, by this proclamation, declare that a state of public emergency exists in the whole of the Republic of Sierra Leone, with effect from today for a period of 12 months.
Well, in the U.S., President Donald Trump has declared a national emergency to help handle the growing outbreak of the virus, but he is considering opening the economy up ahead of the Easter festivities.
The goal is to ease the guidelines and open things up to very large sections of our country as we near the end of our historic battle with the invisible enemy. It'll go on for a while, but we win. We'll win. I said earlier today that I hope we can do this by Easter. I think that would be a great thing for our country, and we're all working very hard to make that a reality. We'll be meeting with a lot of people to see if it can be done. Easter is a very special day for many reasons. For me, for a lot of our friends, that's a very special day. And what a great timeline this would be. Easter.
Well, UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson also announced a 3-week total lockdown of the UK designed to limit the spread of the disease.
If you don't follow the rules, the police will have the powers to enforce them, including through fines and dispersing gatherings. To ensure compliance with the government's instruction to stay at home, we will immediately close all shops selling non-essential goods, including clothing and electronic stores, and other premises, including libraries, playgrounds, and outdoor gyms and places of worship. We'll stop all gatherings of more than 2 people in public, excluding people you live with, and we'll stop all social events, including weddings, baptisms, and other ceremonies, but excluding funerals. Parks will remain open for exercise, but gatherings will be dispersed. No Prime Minister wants to enact measures like this. I know the damage that this disruption is doing and will do to people's lives, to their businesses, and to their jobs.
Well, they say leaders are made in crisis, and the coronavirus outbreak and pandemic across the globe is really testing a lot of leaders. And we're seeing many approaches to winning this particular war. While the cases in West Africa are skyrocketing, many countries in Asia and are containing the number of infections. For example, South Korea, Singapore, Hong Kong, Taiwan all kept the case numbers relatively low, despite their proximity to mainland China. By contrast, look at the USA. They delayed, though both countries recorded their first case during the same period. I'm talking about South Korea and the USA. We're seeing varying degrees of successes in these two countries. It draws into sharp focus the leadership skills that each leader is deploying to deal with this particular matter. I want to bring in a few of our friends who are in the heart of these areas. I want to go to New York now, which has been described as the epicenter in the USA. Donnell Chibu is a pulmonary psychologist with the New York Presbyterian Hospital and joins us on the telephone line right now. Donnell, thank you very much for joining us here on Newsnight.
Yeah, you're welcome. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. And New York is the epicenter now in the USA of this. How is this being managed as of now? I know the entire city is on some form of a lockdown.
On the leadership level, I think they're doing really well. They're getting the information out. there's a lot of unknowns. We don't know what tomorrow holds. We don't know how the vaccines are going to come through. So it's basically just being able to put your best foot forward, tell the people the true story, tell them where we're going, things that we need to survive, and then basically that's what is happening. Just information, consistency, and more information.
I see. I want to bring in Kwabena Oponchichuku, who is in Italy, of course, the global epicenter now. Kwabena, thank you for joining us. How are you holding up yourself? I'm sure you are in lockdown.
Yes, for a bit of weeks now, about 3 weeks now. And I'll tell you something. Most Ghanaians here who live in this part of Italy, in the northern part of Italy, actually self-isolated. So that's why maybe if there's a statistics to know the kind of the number of Ghanaians who are actually infected with this virus, you find a very minimal percentage of Ghanaians because we self-isolated. The problem, I think, that the government is finding now is how to enforce this sort of quarantine measures that are being put in place. As you're aware, from Monday, government announced further draconian measures to try to mitigate the spread of the virus. But you'll still find a lot of people who are so recalcitrant who still flout, the lockdown rules and, loiter about and all of that. So I think it's a major challenge. But government is still making a lot of progress.
And I wondered, have you been following how this is developing back home here in Ghana at all?
Yes, I have, and I am very, very concerned about, because that is exactly how it starts, because it started there from the northern part of Italy around Milan, and for those of us who are a bit closer to Bologna, around the other areas, we started, most Ghanaians around this area, and I have a lot of friends who started quarantining themselves, who started limiting their outings and sort of things. Because when there's a talk about lockdown, I think it's a catchphrase. Because when you think about it, essentially, because I'm able to go out all the time, anytime I want. This morning I went out to the supermarket, even though there's a very long queue. They are observing the social distancing measures and all of that. But you are essentially able to go out as you want and when, And I've got friends in China, in Hubei province, who said, this is not the sort of lockdown that we experience. Because government was actually going around giving, cabbages and bread and other things to every household. So you were essentially locked down completely. But
no movement whatsoever.
I think is a bit counterproductive, even though it's beginning to yield fruit. But as we speak now, the virus seems to be winning.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point about what sort of leadership is right for this time. Is it the type of leadership which is authoritarian or one which is libertarian in character? I want to bring in Donnell. Donnell, you are in New York. I wonder, there is a leadership conflict now playing out in New York. There is the federal leadership, as in Donald Trump and what he's doing and how it's affecting New York, and how the governor there is also trying to deal with this. I have heard Cuomo complain quite often about how the federal government is handling this. How is that affecting your work on the ground? You are at the front line in New York as well as a pulmonary physiologist.
So to be honest with you, we started very off with a lack of supplies, and it's been getting a little better from not getting anything to getting some more supplies. So that front. As per the leadership point, I think it's more of a game of optics, that the president doesn't want to be upstaged by the governor, because the information that is coming from the federal level is not being trusted, if I may use that word. But you can see the governor of New York being authentic, putting it out there, listening to the experts, and that's where you see the difference. People tend to believe Cuomo. So if you go on Twitter, you will see a trending hashtag Cuomo for president. That tells you that people are trusting the government of New York State more than that of the federal government.
Very, very, very interesting perspective there, Donnell, and thank you very much for making time to join us. He is a pulmonary physiologist with the New York Presbyterian Hospital. Earlier, you also had Kwabena Ponchijaku from Italy. The question about leadership is an important one. We'll try and analyze that very shortly, but let me bring in Benedict, who is joining me with sports. Hello, Benedict.
Yes, Evans, and we're still talking about coronavirus and its effects on sporting activities around the world. Now, Ghana Olympic Committee President Benunu Mensah says the Olympic Games postponement didn't come to him as a surprise. Now, yesterday, the International Olympic Committee, that's the IOC, and the host of the Games, that's Japan, decided to cancel the July event due to the outbreak of the virus. Now, the IOC had given itself a deadline of 4 weeks to consider delaying the Games, but there'd been mounting pressure from a host of Olympic committees and athletes demanding a quicker decision. According to Benunu Mensah, postponing the multi-sport event was unavoidable.
Let me say that it did not come to me as a surprise.